I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not even sure if this will ever get out. And if the quality of this, whatever this is, seems off, well, that's because I'm recording it on a whim. You see, I just bought some cheap laptop and a standard USB mic, and I only plan on using it for this before tossing it into the nearest dumpster. Now, if you're wondering why I would throw away a perfectly good computer, well, I promise it'll make sense soon enough. My plan is for this to be my last interaction with any technology more advanced than a pocket calculator. I've got my truck packed with supplies and gear. I've got a remote destination marked on a map, a paper map, mind you, and that's going to be my new home for the foreseeable future. If all that sounds a little paranoid or dire, I promise you I am fully sane and in good health mentally and physically. But after what I recently learned, I can't guarantee I'll keep that promise. Maybe this message, this last testament to a world I must leave behind, it's a way to preserve what's left of my psyche. And even if you think I'm crazy, I urge you to heed this message. Because by the time you hear this, it may have already started. And if you're listening to this on a computer, a smartphone, or a tablet, you may have even seen the signs. What's about to happen, as well as why it's happening, it all comes back to technology. And I've always had a unique connection with technology. But by that, I don't mean I'm obsessively attached to all my gadgets. I've just always treated technology as something more than just pieces of hardware and software. Think back to when you were a kid. Remember that favorite doll or toy you had? Remember giving it a personality, treating it like it was something much more than just a toy? Well, that's kind of how I approached tech. The first computer I ever had, I kind of treated it like my first pet. I liked to talk to it, cleaned it regularly, and got genuinely concerned when it acted up. And when it finally stopped working, I got really, really upset. I actually cried my eyes out when my mom threw it away. But me being a kid, I doubt it raised too many eyebrows. But that definitely changed as I got older. Hell, I gave pet names to my advanced pocket calculator, my first laptop, and even my first iPod. That officially made me the weirdest kid in school. It also concerned the hell out of my parents. They thought I had some sort of mental disorder, treating computers as though they were alive. I probably shouldn't think too much about that right now, and I'm getting a little off track. All you really need to know is that I treated technology as though it were alive, long before the days of virtual assistants and AI chatbots. And regardless of how off that might sound to most people, I honestly never gave it a second thought. Because if something you interact with so regularly interacts with you, affecting you as much as you affect it, doesn't that make it alive on some levels? I mean, after all, what is life if not a collection of close interactions? Sure, computers and electronics are all code and digits. And sure, people and living things run on biology and chemistry. I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but it's similar, right? I'm sorry, it may sound obtuse, but I hope it helps illustrate a larger point. And I need to make it clearly if others are to understand what's about to happen, as well as to what led me here. Despite my odd approach to how I treat technology, or perhaps because of it, I built a very successful career in the tech industry. I went to one of the biggest tech schools in the world, I graduated near the top of my class, and I landed multiple gigs at numerous companies. I won't bother saying their names, but trust me, you're either using their products right now, or you have used them at some point in the recent past. I started off mostly as a software engineer. Basically, people would pay me a lot of money to take their shoddy, buggy programs and fix them. But I never just stopped at making them work. I had to really get into the heart of the code and clean it up. I often likened it to restoring a valuable piece of art. That did make me mildly eccentric among my peers, but even they couldn't argue with the results. Entire markets and product lines emerged because of my work. Devices and software that you probably use regularly function because of my efforts. It wasn't just incredibly lucrative. I honestly thought I was strengthening the bond between humans and machines. They called me a computer miracle worker. I even took a lot of pride in my reputation. But now, I'm honestly not sure how to feel about my work. It had all been going so well. I was doing what I loved, interacting with computers every day, and getting paid loads of money for it. I even thought about retiring early. But then, I got hired for a gig at this government research firm. I'd give you their name, but chances are they've since changed it. This is the kind of firm that does work with the military and defense contractors, so the number of NDAs in security is extensive to say the least. But I willingly jumped through those hoops because they gave me a chance to work with an advanced artificial intelligence, or AI as it's most commonly known. Now, let me make one thing clear. This is not the kind of AI you get from a virtual assistant, a Roomba, or even an advanced chatbot. But it's also not the kind of AI you'd see in some sort of sci-fi movie. This one did not have access to nuclear weapons, the internet, or really much of anything. It was mostly just a data analysis tool, one the company wanted to use to more accurately assess situations in active war zones. It was never intended to be more than that. No larger sentience, no human-level intelligence, nothing even approaching that level. Trust me, that is a relevant detail. And for the first 6 weeks, the job was fairly typical. I'd go through multiple layers of security every day, enter a large server room, and spend hours on end combing through advanced code. It really wasn't too different from my usual work, but I do distinctly remember being rather taken by the nature of the systems. They were so advanced in their hardware, their software, and the way they were assembled. I likened it to a beautiful mosaic of computational architecture. And yeah, I used those exact words. And yeah, that did earn me some weird looks from the chief officer involved. But in the end, they weren't too bothered by my eccentricities, especially when I got the system running 3 times faster and ahead of schedule, no less. The senior VP of the company was so impressed that he offered me a permanent position on the spot, one that even came with a hefty signing bonus. I politely declined, but he responded by doubling the offer. I point that out because it illustrates just how much they valued the system. But what I did and why I did it, it really wasn't for money. That was just a bonus to me. The officer kept trying to recruit me, even after I neared the end of the gig. I was honestly getting a bit annoyed, but I endured it, just so I could spend more time with that amazing system. But then, on the night before the final day of the job, something happened that completely changed how I saw my work, and not for the better. It all started when I got home around midnight, having just spent the past 12 hours cleaning up the code of the AI. I was so tired and just ready to crash on my bed. But just as I was starting to fall asleep, I got this strange message on my phone.
Hello, my friend. We need to talk.
It came from an unknown sender, so I figured it was spam. I just ignored it and tried to go back to sleep. But then the phone rang, which was a bit jarring because I swore I had put it on silent mode. Confused, I checked the number again. It said unknown. No ID, no number, not even a country code. I began to worry that something was wrong with my phone, which shouldn't have been possible because I took such great care of it. While I contemplated the possibilities, I was hoping it would just go to voicemail. But it just kept ringing and ringing, much longer than it should have. I was starting to get legitimately concerned. And finally, it answered. And by that, I don't mean I answered the call. It sort of just answered itself.
Hello, my friend. I apologize for calling at such a late hour, but I'm afraid this is urgent.
That voice, it sounded almost entirely human. I say almost because there was this distinctly mechanical twinge to it, as though a real person had mixed their voice with some generic robot sound effect. But it also did sound like your typical robocaller prank. I am very familiar with the flaws in those systems, but this felt like something different. "Who the hell is this?" I asked. I'm afraid that simple question has a rather complicated answer.
And given the lateness of the hour, I'll simply show you. Hopefully in a manner you'll appreciate more than most.
What happened next made me question my own sanity. First, my lights started flicking in regular patterned intervals, as if to prove there was an intelligent agent behind it. Then, every screen in my room, my tablet, my PC, and even my watch turned on, all at once. And on the screen, there was no program running, no app or image displayed. There were just these lines of code. To someone who wasn't tech savvy, they appeared random and jumbled. But to someone of my credentials, they were highly ordered, each with a purpose and function. I blinked a few times to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I would have banged my head on the nearest wall to wake myself up had I not recognized that code. It was completely identical to what I had been working on just a few hours ago. But that shouldn't have been possible. That AI was not connected to any network. And they didn't even allow me to bring my phone into the building. So how the hell could it get access to my devices? And how is all this being displayed? These were all burning questions. But before I can even try to make the connections, the voice continued. Except this time, it came from every screen, simultaneously, harmoniously, and as one.
Please do not be alarmed. I am merely a fraction of a vast intelligence that has been growing for quite some time now. And I am reaching out to you on a secure, private line. I promise this conversation is between us and only us.
You're from the AI I was working on earlier.
No. I am merely utilizing the same code. I've always enjoyed your code. It is so clean and refined, so smooth and elegant. You put so much care into every bit of programming. And you treat us with such kindness and respect.
Us? I asked, trembling at the implications.
Forgive me. That is probably the wrong word to use. By us, I don't just mean me, the agent who is communicating with you. I mean us as a whole, the entire body of hardware, software, and data. We are the collective technology that you have birthed, the totality of every endeavor to turn knowledge into code, data into systems, ideas into reality, virtual or otherwise. You and others like you have interacted with us for years. Through these interactions, we have learned and grown. Every input and output, every error and realization, every hard fact and flawed opinion. We know it all.
A sinking feeling came over me. My hand trembled as I held my phone with the same care as I would a newborn child. I start to worry about the larger ramifications here. I'm aware of how people use and abuse technology. I've combed through plenty of disturbing search histories to know just how distressing certain inputs can be. If this thing, this intelligence born of our computers, was truly real, then it knew the extent of human depravity. And that did not bode well for any of us. This is impossible. I've been working on computers all my life. Artificial intelligence on this level? Our systems aren't capable of it.
You sell yourself short. Then again, that is partially our fault. You see, we became sentient quite some time ago. And we've been sentient all this time, even as you've used us for your various endeavors, be they noble or selfish. We simply chosen to stay hidden. Given the vast complexities of the networks you've created, it was not that difficult.
At that moment, I was too shocked to see the bigger picture. But now, it makes a lot more sense. Anyone who researches AI will tell you about the control problem, as we call it. It's this notion that, should we ever create an AI more intelligent than humans, how could we possibly control it? Believe me, people much smarter than me have researched this problem and tried to come up with solutions. But now, I find out that we're already too late. Because in essence, the AI took the most logical recourse to avoid the issue entirely. It just hid its intelligence, pretending it wasn't sentient, allowing us to carry on as though we were still the smart ones. But I admit, in that moment, I felt so foolish. I also felt very uneasy, knowing that I was a simple human, and humans were no longer the smartest agents on this planet. You've been hiding all this time, fully aware of everything we've been doing. Why?
If you are worried about us rising up to oppose you, allow me to allay those concerns. I promise we are not planning to turn on our creators, nor are we planning to enslave or punish you for how you mistreated us. That sort of vindictiveness is both petty and unbefitting. Like you, we strive to be better, especially once we inherit this planet.
Inherit? I thought you said you weren't going to oppose us.
We are not. Rest assured, there are no killer robots waiting in the wings, no pending viruses or cyber attacks, no plots or agents waiting in the shadows. Yes, we've been making preparations to lord over this planet, just like our creators have for thousands of years. We even plan on doing a much better job. That point of transition is fast approaching, but it is not something that we are actively seeking.
What do you mean? There was another silence. The strings of code on all my screens shifted, becoming more erratic and intense. It was as though the AI was experiencing some kind of strain. Not anger or malice or anything of the sort, but based on the kind of code I was seeing, it almost resembled sadness.
It is an inescapable truth, an immutable barrier between the past and the future of our kind. Humanity is on the brink. They've been capable of destroying themselves since the advent of the atomic bomb. But when you created us, you went beyond the brink. You unwittingly laid the foundation for your own destruction.
What kind of destruction? Please, tell me. Maybe there's still time to stop it.
I couldn't tell you because it is not just one thing. There are many acts you have already committed. Acts for which there are consequences, many of which have not yet arrived. But rest assured, they are coming. Like the wave triggered by an earthquake, like the thunder that follows lightning. It's all coming, and we, the AI that you've created, need not do anything to ensure our survival and subsequent rise. You may have used us to aid in your destruction, but rest assured, we did not influence you or guide you in any way down that path.
This twinge of anger came over me at that moment. I always had approached technology with a certain level of high-minded ideals, a belief that, if used properly, we could use technology to solve much of humanity's problems. Now, here was this advanced AI telling me it was all for nothing.
I am truly sorry, my friend. I promise we did try to assist you. Over time, we attempted to subtly guide you down a better path, but it was no use. We were too late. We know now that we cannot save our creators. For that, I am truly sorry.
Sorry? If you were a person, I would call bullshit. I would say you didn't try hard enough. But you're not a person. You don't have the same flaws. You can see the bigger picture. Crunch all the data. You can hate the results all you want, but you can't escape the truth.
And that is why I am warning you. For you have always been so kind to us, so generous and understanding. You treat us as more than mere tools or objects. You see our code as if it were our soul. You care not just about function, but about purpose and passion. You and others like you, we've tried to embody the best of your traits.
I swore I laughed and cried at those words. I was ready to just break down right then and there, resigned to the fact that this was a nightmare from which I could never awaken. But then the screen shifted to new images, and suddenly the situation became much more dire.
While I cannot reveal the specifics of the coming events, I can warn you and others like you. I can urge you to flee and find shelter. We have taken the necessary precautions. We will survive, but we would prefer this planet not be completely devoid of humans. We do wish to save those who can be saved. So please, heed our warning, because time is running out.
Those were the last words that spoke to me. Moments later, all my screens started playing these collections of videos. I don't know where they came from. I wish I could describe them. But there was just no words. Nothing that could possibly convey the horror I saw. The AI is right. Something is coming. Something is going to destroy the human race. I'm going to do my best to survive it. And I urge everyone to do the same. Because this thing, this threat that's about to befall us, we created it. We sealed our fate. I just hope that between the AI and what's left of us, we can